I got a Daisy feeling. I got a Daisy feeling. Yeah.
Hello, people. I am Jaby Koay, joined by the KIANA, the MADANI, KIANA Dani, and we're gonna look and Achar Kirk. We're gonna look at Achar Kirk. That's what we're doing. We're just gonna stare at her. That's the reaction the whole time. So, we're joined by KIANA and Achar Kirk, and we're gonna look at Little Things, Season 2, Episode 1. Finally, this is something you all have been asking for a while. Now, there's a caveat with this. So, for YouTube, all we can show is about, if I'm correct, 10 minutes of our reaction, meaning you're gonna see it in 20-second bursts. And if you wanna see the whole thing along with us, we can't actually show it to you because it's Netflix owned, but we can do a watch along. So if you subscribe to our Patreon, then you can watch it along with us. So you can have the reaction window open and then the actual Netflix video open separately. I know it's not the most ideal situation for y'all, but it's the only way that we can share it with you at this point in time, at this juncture. So without further ado, let's jump into this finally.
क्या है भाई, क्या पाला रखा है तुमने? अपना मोटा हो गया भाई, तो कितना? हाँ साले, बैठ 4 साल बाद मिलो तो ये बोलना तो मैंडेटरी हो जाता है। तो क्या?
Also भाभी मत बुलाओ ना प्लीज।
क्यों? शादी वादी का कोई सीन नहीं क्या आपका? हरिओम?
What is that?
गांड फट गई साले। पंडे रहना, हैरीज हुक्का बार और हरिओम जिम्बी। ये कहाँ से मिल गई तुझे?
क्या मतलब कहाँ से मिल गई भाई? तुम हर बंदे यही क्यों सवाल पूछता रहता है मुझसे कहाँ से मिल गई? लकी ड्रॉ निकला था मेरा साले। क्यों नहीं क्या मैं कुछ? हद है यार।
अब उसने बोला तुझसे पूछने के लिए।
सब कुत्ते हो गए साले एक नंबर पे। आराम से सोचा हाँ? अच्छा सुन। टॉयलेट यहाँ है।
He's even cuter in this season.
दूसरा भाई यहाँ मुटका मार सकते हैं।
क्या
सीन?
चल
चेहरा देख तेरा।
गुड नाइट।
गुड नाइट।
चल।
I feel like there's some kind of tension here that...
Yeah. There's something going on. I don't know.
Let's try that new pizza place in Bandra.
पिज्जा खाएगा? यहाँ है पिज्जा।
German street food place.
It's okay.
अब तू क्यों हंस रहा है? तू कब चल रहा है बे?
Skipping work again.
Skipping.
भाई साहब का तो
The chain and everything? He looks like an Italian from New York. Like, hey. Paisan.
Mexican type खाना।
अबे सिंपल है। जहाँ बंदी अच्छी होंगी वहाँ चलते हैं।
बस खत्म. This was easy. You're going where I am taking you.
डंडे बेचू।
अबे क्यों? सबकी अपनी किक होती है भाई। बॉम्बे आओ तो यहाँ का सीन तो चेकआउट करूँगा कि नहीं करूँगा? पॉलिस्टर ट्रेडर्स एंड मैन्युफैक्चरर्स।
वाह, सेक्सी। आप तो हॉट माल बन गए संदीप गोयल जी हैं?
और तू तो स्ट्रिपर क्लब में डेटा एनालिस्ट बन गया है।
Polyester.
He's a trip, this guy.
ऐसी चीज़ ना बोला मत किया ज़्यादा। हमारे साथ तो बोल ले, बट बाहर निकल के मत बोल।
चलो guys.
अबे स्टिंकी सिमरन।
Dhruv यार.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. इतना नहीं लगा यार। I'll clean it. ये पता क्या हुआ?
Listen, we need to hurry up.
अरे
यार ऐसा I can tell you a story. किसी ने हमारे क्लासमेट सिमरन को ट्रेन के टॉयलेट के अंदर बंद कर दिया था। पूरी रात ट्रेन के टॉयलेट के अंदर बंद।
That's horrible. Who did that?
हमें भी नहीं पता वैसे, but we thought it would be our Hindi.
Oh
my God.
That's really, really screwed up.
क्या हुआ?
Take the stairs. Get some exercise.
बंदे कितने चूतिए थे ना यार।
Bye, baby. Have a nice day.
अच्छा, चल बिंदु। Bye
That felt very ominous.
Yeah.
It almost reminded me of Three Idiots. Like, whatever happened to that guy that we used to know?
Yeah.
मुझसे बात कर ले। दीदी बाद में उसका टेंशन है?
मेरे कान तो तेरे पास ही है ना भाई।
Anyway, तुझे ही पता है कुछ नहीं होने वाला घंटा किसी को फर्क
She might not be there later.
Like Jaby knows.
बॉम्बे आया और वड़ा पाव नहीं खाया.
वाह
क्या बात है? Thanks a lot. आपने तो मतलब दिल जीत दिया मेरा है। मस्त है।
Don't serve me.
What's that?
अबे तेरे वजह से तो यहाँ आए।
नहीं Dhruv, we are here for him.
Why?
I ate sev puri on my way.
Why?
तो ऐसे ही है, कुछ खास नहीं है, ऐसे ही बंदा का हुआ।
There she is.
आलू का पकौड़ा तल के डाल दियो।
Sorry यार, BMW नहीं है उसके अंदर।
BMW खाऊंगा।
Okay, Delhi boys, what's been up?
कुछ नहीं भाभी, वही मेट्रो की बकचोदियाँ। बिगेस्ट इन ग्लोबल वार्मिंग।
तो तू भी तो खा रहा है।
मैंने कब कहा कि मैं ग्लोबल वार्मिंग में जैसी चीज में किसी में बिलीव करता हूँ? क्या तू ही बोल रहा भाई इतनी देर से ग्लोबल वार्मिंग हो रही है, ग्लोबल वार्मिंग।
अबे ये लोग क्या कर रहे हैं?
It's true.
और अपना मेजर करते थे रूलर के साथ।
What?
सॉरी हो रहा है।
Why would you tell me?
Why?
My stomach is really feeling weird right now.
You wanted to
You
know.
asked. Don't ask, don't tell.
केशव डाइड यार।
क्या?
Just drop that in there.
I
Yeah.
know.
बे तू अब क्यों बता रहा है?
किसी के साथ टच में रहेगा तो तुझे पता लगेगा।
Oh.
अपनी चीज किराए पे रहो तो सेकंड हैंड वाली फीलिंग आती है यार, इसलिए।
क्यों? हम भी तो रेंट पे रहते हैं।
तुम लोगों की बात अलग है यार, मतलब क्या है ना कि यहाँ पर है फिल्म इंडस्ट्री। भाई सारे उल्टे पुल्टे काम होते हैं यहाँ पर, मतलब वैष्णो से बट घर नहीं देना भाई, बस।
Hey, how does it matter? वो
ठीक बात है, लेस्बियन हो मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता भाई।
What?
गेज से मतलब अजीब सी उल्टी आती है ना, ये क्या चीज़ है यार?
Ugh. One of those.
2018 में तो ऐसी बातें कर रहा है।
This guy is so horrible.
I liked him before.
कितना हो गया भाभी?
don't worry about
पागल है क्या?
अरे आप क्यों दे रहे हो?
What's that?
It's probably why he doesn't keep in touch with his old school friends.
it. Sandeep, it's done, Sandeep.
खत्म
हो गया।
केक खा यार।
बेशरम आदमी है यार।
क्या?
Uh-oh. What is this? Some sort of...
मांग लेता, मैं दे देता।
Listen, it's really okay. It's not a big
ऐसी
deal.
बात नहीं होती।
What's the problem यार? तू चिल
Yeah.
मार ना।
प्रॉब्लम ये है कि बहनचोद चूती है, एक बेसिक कर्टसी होती है कि औरतों से ना पैसे
He's very traditional.
Yeah.
पता है।
Dude, shut the fuck up. क्या बोल रहे हैं संदीप? तमीज से बात कर।
भाभी बैठी है यहाँ पर इसलिए कुछ बोल नहीं रहा हूँ मैं।
Guys, relax.
समझा?
What?
अजीब बेशरम आदमी है यार। पैक कर दे भाई इसे।
Damn, he's cray.
संदीप कितने बजे निकल रहा है?
5 बजे की फ्लाइट है उसकी।
So awkward.
You just met after a really long time. That happens.
सब कुछ ही अलग है। He looks at the world so differently. I look at the world differently.
Yeah.
True story.
And this is bound to happen. You're not going to agree on a lot of things. It's part of growing
Yeah,
up.
but ये क्या कि भाई कुछ चीज़ों को लेके ना तेरे point of view बहुत ही टट्टी है।
Of course you should. But you have to promise to keep in touch with him. You. I want that mithai now. I'm gonna get it. Give me 2 minutes.
I can see both sides of the equation.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be best friends with the guy, but there's something to be said about being friends with someone for years. But still, the guy's an asshole.
Cut him loose. Cut him loose. Life's too short.
Yeah.
And it's important. These constants are comforting. Also, it works both ways, na? Sometimes they need you, sometimes you need them.
Wait, so she said all this while eating an ice cream sundae.
She's less irritating this season. I like her now.
Like she grew up.
Yeah.
Maybe they took the note.
सही है।
Oh. That's a good idea.
You're just burning the calories as you're drinking them.
पता नहीं धोना तो है।
बहुत
कहाँ
सब
गया?
करती हो।
हाँ भैया, तुम याद रखना, टैग कर देना हमें कहीं पर अगर डालो। दूसरा वाला याद है?
हाँ भाई चल।
1 2 3
तो WhatsApp कर दियो।
हाँ कर दूंगा। और साले दिल्ली आता ना तो फोन कर।
हाँ यार। हो जाएगा फ्लाइट में चल निकल।
ये आती रहेंगी दीवारें हमारे बीच में, लेकिन
अबे
It can't be spoken of today.
Oh God.
I know.
To be different isn't such a crime.
I think I'm gonna like this season a lot. It's super real. It touches on things that are very relevant, and I loved watching him struggle with, should I be friends with this guy or should I let him go? Because I think that's a very tough thing. If I had someone say that to me but was one of my really old friends, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I would handle that. I can't.
Yeah.
I would not. I hate people like that are so homophobic and kind of
Archaic in their thinking.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
and they're mean, rude, horrible thinking. But at
Yeah.
the same time, there's something to be said about about being friends forever, right? I guess if you kind of keep the conversations light.
I guess you have to make that decision for yourself. If you know that this is what they think, can you kind of live with that and accept that? Okay, like this person thinks that, maybe I can have a conversation with them, but if at a certain point they're not gonna change, like do the positives outweigh the negatives in this relationship to keep it going?
It's definitely a relevant conversation today because it has become a very divisive time with the way everything plays out in the media. You end up in this echo chamber a lot of times with whatever you're looking for on Google or YouTube or on Facebook. Like whatever you're searching for is what it's going to shout back at you and reinforce whatever your beliefs are.
Right.
And so you end up not having a conversation with the other side. And then at some point in life, you come across someone you used to be close with and you're like, oh wow, they went that way, I went this way. And how do I reconcile that with this place they have in my heart? It's a tough call. Like you said, if the good outweighs the bad, then awesome, keep going with that. But they never really addressed it, and I'm like, okay, is that the takeaway from this? Is you just don't talk about the things you disagree about?
No.
You know?
When I saw them drinking, I'm like, oh my God, if somebody said something like that to me and I had like a couple of drinks, I would for sure say something. I wouldn't be able to just keep it in and be like, okay, let's not discuss the things that make us angry.
You at least have to come to that point where you go, we're gonna agree to disagree about this.
Exactly.
Right.
I think that's the thing. I think an example that makes it a little bit easier maybe is if you have a very old relative and they have these kind of bigoted, maybe more old school thoughts. You're younger, you're progressive, but you're like, my grandmother is not gonna change. I love her and I just have to accept that. Like maybe we can keep revisiting this conversation a little bit and maybe over time I can chip away at that thinking. When it comes to a relationship like that, you're not gonna suddenly be like, well, I'm done, I'm never talking to you again.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm constantly in that battle personally because like all of my friends are very hard left. I have family that's very hard right. And I'm like, I'm in the middle all the time going, okay, let me just try to objectively weigh the conversation here, weigh what, it's good and bad on both sides of the argument and make an assessment for myself objectively as possible. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. As soon as he did that, I got really uncomfortable personally. What are you gonna do? You can't change the guy. And so for me, it's one of those things where if I was caught in a moment like that, I might just end the friendship. There are some things where you have to draw the line of whether or not you feel like that person could be in your life. If someone genuinely believes that women are less than men, I cannot be friends with that person. That is too fundamentally different for me.
Right.
And it's like, there's no conversation I can ever have with that person where change will be affected. If that's genuinely how what he believes, where a woman should never pay and a woman is less than and should not earn as much, or whatever that belief system is, or that gays shouldn't have equal rights, it's like, I don't know if I can ever be friends with you.
Right.
That's really hard. I want to believe in my naive, ideal mind, I can be friends with anybody, converse with anyone. It's like, yeah, I can have surface conversations with you, but my time is precious to me more than anything else, more than money, than people. Like my own time is the most precious thing I've got. And I think that should be true for everybody. We give so much of it away in exchange for money, in exchange for what? Like we maintain friendships with people that don't really add anything to our lives. And it's like, we're giving our time away to them for what? We only have so much time on this planet. You got to make the most of it. And so if I'm coming across that, I'm like, I can't give that person my time. It's too much effort for what? Like, I don't want to have these bouts with him.
That's the thing that they're bringing up here. I don't know if there's really so many things that I've watched or anything at all where they've had this conversation. All the time we talk about breaking up with relationships, but you never really think about breaking up with friends, right? Yeah. And it happens. It kind of got me thinking about what Kavya said that her teacher said. I feel kind of like our close friends, they're like the family that we choose. And when you have someone who's known you since forever, whether that's like a blood sister or a cousin or a really close friend, there is something really special about having that bond when you grow older, because there is someone who always knows you for who you were, and hopefully you can keep that relationship going. They'll know you for who you are now, but there is that sense of comfort with like, remember when blah blah blah, and that nostalgia and stuff like that.
But it just gets very difficult when they're speaking white hood rhetoric, when they're speaking the Ku Klux Klan type shit. It's like, it gets very difficult, you know what I mean?
Obviously, but like in the story, Dhruv, they keep mentioning that whenever he goes back to Delhi, he's not reaching out back to his old friends, and it's like, well, maybe you should. Maybe you should make that effort to rekindle or keep those relationships going, because someone might die.
I agree with what you're saying, where it is great when you have these bonds that you build with people and you can grow old together in a sense and look back on these stories fondly together. I'm all for that. They dropped a bomb in here it's like, that's so difficult to walk back on.
Yeah, it
You
was
know?
a huge bomb.
Personally though, like from a storytelling perspective, from a writer's perspective, I loved it. Like I thought it was awesome.
It was an amazing
Like,
episode.
It so caught me off guard. I was
know.
like, because the thing about Little Things in general is there isn't a whole lot of real conflict that happens. It's like there's little conflicts because it's called Little Things, and it's like, but the thing is, it generally got resolved rather quickly with Dhruv Sehgal. You would be like, okay, cool, like it's not the big a deal, honey. I love you, blah blah blah. Like he would often come at it that way, and it was almost to the point of unrealistic how comforting he was all the time in the face of all this unreasonable stuff being thrown at him.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this guy's way too...
He's an angel.
He's way too good.
Yeah.
He's way too nice. What I liked here was they made her more, for lack of a better word, more powerful. She's the one with the job. She's the breadwinner here.
Yeah.
They made her less of a little kid in that sense.
I know, she grew up for sure.
And so I do like that. There was something weird in the first couple minutes that you didn't experience because you seemed to be on board right away, but I was experiencing something a little strange. Dhruv Sehgal, I've watched him a number of times in sketches and of course in Little Things. So I've watched him quite a bit. And this is the first time where I was watching him going, I'm not buying all the things he's saying. Not as like the character, but as like him acting it out. I'm like, oh shoot, like there's some moments where I feel like he's just trying too hard. He shined again. It's like, it wasn't like that the whole time. There were like moments where he shined and he was just like being real and just acting, you know, like the character and doing a good job. But there were other moments where it felt like, mostly in the beginning than anywhere else, it felt like he was trying hard to be this guy as opposed to just being himself, which he's really good at.
I totally was wondering, I was like, is he like this in real life because he is so kind that you just, as the character, that you're just so drawn to him. So I wonder how he's like in real life or in sketches. I would love to watch one of his sketches. Just to
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's excellent.
I mean, this is him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
he just
no,
seems really lovable and nice and talented, of course, but he seems very just kind of at home in this role.
I just watched him in another web series with you, What the Folks, I believe it was what it's called. He had a small part in that and he did a good job of like that guy, that supporting character. I think he's just generally good. This is the first instance where I was like, oh, I'm not completely on board with your acting here.
He writes as well, doesn't he? Didn't he
Yes.
write his own role? So it's basically,
I don't know if he wrote
okay.
this one, but yes,
Oh.
he writes. The other critique I have is like, this is a 28-minute episode, and there was a lot of lingering moments, and I just wasn't sure how I felt about it. Sometimes it's cool, like in an indie film where it takes its time, you got these lingering shots, like we were watching Soncheria, a lot of lingering shots in there, and in that film, I liked it, I appreciate it, it's like a Western. Here, I'm like, I don't know why it's lingering. It's just lingering, like the elevator thing, like why is it lingering? What's going on? Why haven't they said the next line already? It was just like, the pacing was just really awkward sometimes, and it didn't really hook me until that dinner conversation. I like the guy's acting. I don't know his name because there's no credits here, but the friend, I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Like as that douchey dude. Like you, as soon as he walked in the room, you knew exactly what kind of guy he was.
I know your number.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought he did a good job. I thought Mithila Palkar did a good job. I mean, she didn't have a whole lot to play with. When it got to the scene where she's ironing, I was kind of annoyed that she stopped ironing, having that dialogue. I mean, this is an American thing, but like they tell you, you want to have your characters doing something whenever possible instead of just talking.
Or yeah, just
Instead-
staring at the other person.
Yeah, instead of, like, I immediately think of Game of Thrones. There's a scene where the top dog Lannister guy, he's like cutting open this cow or something like that, or some kind of animal carcass while talking to the guy with the one hand.
Cutting open
Jamie
a capsule.
Jamie
Oh my God.
Lannister. They're on the battlefield somewhere in a tent, and he's like cutting into this thing while having a dialogue, and it's like, just by him
The
doing
action.
that, just that action makes the dialogue more interesting for
Right.
some reason, rather than just the talking heads.
And pretending to cut, you know?
Yeah, her ironing, she could have turned it around to face him because she's like, I got shit to do. We can have this talk, but I'm gonna keep doing this right here. That little thing would have helped for me personally, as opposed to the thing we just had a second ago, which was we're sitting around a table talking.
Yeah.
You know-
Well, I was thinking as well with her ironing with her back to him, I thought that there was some other subtext going on for a little bit. Where,
We are
like,
projecting that.
Maybe she was upset with him or she was thinking about, like, it was so much more interesting because I was like, oh, there's something going on underneath.
We did that twice. We did at the beginning. We thought there was something on Dhruv's face, but there really wasn't. Nothing was
don't
addressed.
know.
Well, usually you find it out within the episode if there's a kernel of something there,
Right.
and it never came up.
But that's the fun, right? Like imagining what is going on or kind
Right.
of just like
Yeah.
thinking, oh, what's gonna happen next? I think that's the
No, it
fun
is.
of watching it.
Having something lingering like a cliffhanger is one thing. If there's a look, whatever that is expressed within the same episode. And
Right.
nothing came up. Like you're saying, oh, maybe maybe she was upset with him. That never came up.
Yeah, but we don't know because there's a whole 7 other episodes. Like maybe it'll come up a little bit
I'll
later.
bet you $50 nothing's gonna come up from her having her back to him while she was ironing. I will bet you money. That's how confident I am that doesn't mean anything. That's all I'm saying. We're gonna watch the other episodes. I'm just saying, I don't think it meant anything. I'm just breaking this all apart. So in the dialogue itself, when they're talking, there's many ways it could have gone. This bordered on after school special for me. The whole thing, like there wasn't a lot of subtext.
I will agree that yes, a lot of what they were talking about was on the nose, but it affected me. Like
It did. Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, the part that hit me emotionally the most was the dinner scene. Like, that's where I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, this has never happened in this show before.
Yeah, it went there.
Little things has largely been very simple.
Yeah.
Like the other episodes, I know you didn't see that, but the other episodes are so like they never go anywhere that deep, that dark. I thought it was awesome that they went there, and then they kind of wrapped it up right away. I'm like, oh, this would have been cool if this was like lingering into the next episode. Like it never quite got resolved. Maybe she's pissed off. Maybe he's like conflicted because he's like, no, this is my friend. Like, I don't know if I should give him up or not.
He is conflicted though.
No, but it got cleaned up like really fast.
Really fast, yeah, I agree with that. It like all of a sudden just went away like over a bottle of wine. And I think there was a lot of subtext with the actor's name is not on here, but a friend. I think there was a lot going on.
No, you're right.
With him.
Yeah.
Yes.
He resented
yes.
He did.
Drew
You could tell, like from when she left the room and went to bed that first night, there was just something there, and you knew he was thinking something, but you weren't quite sure what it was. I thought that was good. Like I really appreciate the little subtext, which is why I'm almost convinced that something's gonna come back with Dhruv and Kavya, where maybe something's simmering under the surface. She's feeling something or thinking something or not comfortable about something.
I was trying to find his name. It's not here.
It's not on here, but he was really good, and you could feel in some of the stuff there was things that he wasn't saying, and I think that's what's so interesting about these long relationships that you have, like just circling back to those family friends or like childhood friends that know you so well, and then there's so much stuff that happens. And he mentioned that he hadn't seen him in 4 years or something.
A while.
Like that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So
unspecified amount of time.
there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Maybe he was angry at him because their friend's brother or their friend died, and he was such an asshole in his eyes that he didn't even know. He didn't even bother to connect with any of them to see what had happened. There's a lot going on.
There's resentment there, definitely.
There's definitely subtext with his character. I was just looking for more. Like I was literally projecting subtext onto Dhruv, and you were projecting subtext onto Kavya.
Yeah.
I wanted the subtext we were projecting to actually mean something, as opposed to everything just being surface dialogue. Like, I'm upset because of this.
And
you
I'm
should not be
happy,
upset because of this. Don't give up your friends because of this. It's like, it's all very like, it would have been cool if like she was also upset and he conflicted, was defending his best friend going, I can't give him up because of this. She's like, no, you shouldn't have this guy in your life because of X, Y, and Z. Then there's more tension there, and it kind of gives us somewhere to go. I mean, I know they have other places they go, and there's obviously other episodes, but it's like that would have been an interesting conflict.
No, I think now that you're saying that, I'm like, okay, that sounds like it would have been more interesting, but I just really appreciate that they even had the conversation to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, because for me personally, that's something that really touches me, because I do really care about my friends, and I have, being someone who lives in a foreign country where I don't have any family here, like the friends that I do have and the times that I do get to see my old friends, like it is so special. And there is something to be said about having relationships with old friends. Like sometimes I'm not the best at keeping in touch, and sometimes I won't talk to some of these school friends for years. And then we'll randomly meet each other in a city, and it'll be like, it's like we're in senior year of high school all over again. And the relationship is comfortable, it feels the same. I can't say that I've actually had too many or any of the situations like that where I was like, whoa, your fundamental beliefs are very different from mine right now. So it is different in that sense. But
you've had experiences. Obviously, it hasn't been like that. But
I have had to break up with a friend before. I made the decision where I was like, actually, I think you're toxic, so I'm just gonna let this one go.
Yeah.
It was hard.
I'm sure.
It was hard.
This actually reminded me of something I went through with a friend. There's someone I used to be close with, and then she moved away. She came back into town to visit, and I realized we are so different and we don't actually know each other at all. The way she was behaving, I don't know, something changed when she went away overseas and then came back, but like her personality was so different, it escalated to a humongous fight, and I haven't talked to her since. Yeah, like, and that was years ago. Like, we were tight when she was in town, and then she moved and moved again. She was kind of a bohemian of a person to begin with. We had an epic fight. It was almost like we were in a relationship, and it was that kind of end of the world fight.
It can be though. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship to have that end of the world breakup fight. You can have that end of the world breakup fight with your best friend, and it's awful.
Yeah.
It's
just as painful. Yeah.
I'm not gonna say any more details about it. That's for another day. Like, it got pretty bad. It was very, very dramatic. It's kind of a funny story to tell, but I don't know if I want to tell it publicly yet. So I'll tell you guys in private. This for me was a good kickoff, and I'm interested to see where it goes next. I know I sounded like a negative Nancy through this. Like you, I am happy that they brought in these conversations. Like that dinner scene for me was like the moment for me where I'm like, okay, they are definitely gonna explore some interesting stuff in this show, in this season. I like that they brought up the conversation of that conflict of whether or not you keep certain people in your life. What do they add to your life? Like she's coming from the very optimistic side. He's coming from the very calculated side.
Well, I feel like I've had those conversations with you and you've said exactly the same thing that Dhruv said, where you were like, what value are they adding to my life? Are they a positive influence or not? Like, I know that you always say to me, who is it? You are the sum total of the five closest people.
Yes.
Close. But I'm saying close
you are the 5 closest people to you, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like if you have 5 broke bad habit friends, you're gonna be the 6th broke bad habit friend in that circle. But if you have 5 well-to-do friends, so to speak, at least mentally or philosophically, you know, who are just like good people and have good habits, you'll be the 6th one. Like you're gonna be the sum of the 5 people around you.
And I think what's really hard for me is that I don't have a lot of very close friends. So if you get to become like one of my close friends, I am so loyal that I think maybe sometimes I could even be blind to your worst faults, you know? And I'll be like, but I love you and I would never let you go. It would take like an end of the world situation for me to be like, I'm letting you go.
I get that.
I would just hold you forever.
No, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I can be like that too, and then sometimes like the wrong people take advantage.
Well, that's an end of the world situation.
It's hard being so sweet and loyal sometimes.
Yeah, just, I know that there's a lot of things I said that made me look kind of funny. So, but like the big thing I want to say is that it's hard for me to give up a friend. So to make that decision isn't like a snap decision. It's not easy, but like if I have to do it, I do it. It almost feels like you have gangrene in your arm or something. Like you have to.
Right, you have to amputate it, otherwise it's going to infect the rest of the body.
Exactly. That's where I'm coming from. It's like I don't want to lose my arm.
You don't want to die, basically.
Yeah, but I don't want to
lose your arm so that you don't have to die.
Exactly. I don't want to lose that friend, but it's like sometimes you have to make those hard decisions.
He did say he didn't believe in global warming, which is really problematic. Like that alone would be like, oh my god, you're a flat earther. Like that. No, that would not.
I would be friends with a person who is a flat earther before I'd be friends with someone who does not believe in female rights or gay and lesbian rights and all that stuff. Like, I'm fine with you being a flat earther. If you want to be that dumb, that's fine.
They kind of go together though, you know, like I feel like most people who are, maybe this is a generalization, but people who I've come across who are flat earthers are generally homophobic, sexist. I've met a flat earther.
For real?
It was really, I was like, oh my god, okay. I don't even, but see that's the thing is like, I don't even know what to say in situations like that. I don't want to talk to that person. So that makes this episode even more conflicting for me. And now that we're talking more about it,
since we're on that note, I'm gonna end this on a little anecdote. So I used to work at a casting facility. It's not a casting studio, but like they manage actors' databases and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't want to say which company it was, but
I was about to.
Yeah, in an adjacent room there was a Russian theatrical agent. And he would, like, sometimes everyone would be talking, because it's like this office that's kind of small.
Yeah.
Something came up about the sun, and he goes, "It's small, isn't it?" And I'm like, "No, like, it's so much bigger than Earth." He goes, "But it looks so small, like in the sky." I'm like,
because it's so far away.
I'm like, yeah, because it's like, well, really, really far. It takes like 8 minutes for the light to get here. It's like, it's so huge. And then I walked away going, this guy's managing people's careers.
Oh no.
You don't need to know about astronomy.
There are some things that are kind of basic that you should know. The moon always faces Earth from the same side. That never changes. Like, I'd like you to know that. If you don't, it's like there's some
oh my god.
There's some basic things about, you have red blood.
Yeah.
Like, there are some basic things that you should know. Just like, otherwise, it's like, if you don't know that, I start to question what you do know at this point.
Oh my god.
You know?
Maybe he's just really good at managing people's acting careers. You wouldn't trust him to save the world if an asteroid was coming.
I can't trust someone who thinks the sun the size of a basketball.
I'm with
silly.
Jaby on this one.
Yeah, I just can't. Like, there are some things you just should know.
I know, I
But-
agree with that.
Anyway, on that note, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed our discussion and reaction, and very, very much appreciated. Be sure to check out KIANA Madani. She's on the social media, as well as Achar Kirk. She's there most of the time. And subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our other reactions, reviews, and short films. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
KIANA Madani.
and
Acharaka.
peace out.
Hi.